Okay, so if it is as less as possible, so I'll require less sequence number bit field. So it will be more beneficial for me if the sequence number will be equal to whatever is the window size. Okay, so we have find it till now. Now, what will be the problem if the sequence number is equal to the window size? Okay, so now I'll show you that how to decide between the window size or sender window size and your sequence number, or I'll call you available sequence number. Okay, available sequence number. Okay, so now what will happen? Suppose I'll take example. I'll take the same example that we have already taken, that we have a sender window size of 4. I'm talking about in GB4. Okay, so now you know the receiver window size in go back n is always 1, so there is no problem in that. Now what you do, your sender window size is 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. So these type of packets will be transmitted parallelly. Okay, so before of going further, there is also one thing that I told that I want to tell you, that there is something called a cumulative acknowledgement. Okay, so cumulative acknowledgement, and there is something called independent acknowledgement. Okay, so if you're sending any packet, if you're sending any packet uh, if you're sending any packet and the acknowledgement get backs towards the receiver, so suppose this is the packet 0 and this is the acknowledgement of the packet. Okay, so now this particular thing is called your independent acknowledgement. Okay, so it means that it is not dependent upon any other acknowledgement, it is only dependent upon the packet. Okay, so it's a single acknowledgement. Now what, there is something called a cumulative acknowledgement also. So what happens is that in cumulative acknowledgement, suppose you have sent 0, 1, 2, 4 packets. Suppose you have sent 4 packets, so for this 4 packets I can only send one acknowledgement. Okay, so that acknowledgement will be 4. Okay, so it will be acknowledgement 4. You already know that it is +1. Okay, so this particular thing is called your cumulative acknowledgement, that you can send the acknowledgement at once. Okay, so at one thing is now how can you decide that how much this cumulative acknowledgement be, the size of the cumulative acknowledgement? Suppose here the size of the cumulative acknowledgement is 4. Okay, so I reach 4 packet and I send the fifth, I send back the 5th packet as the acknowledgement. Okay, so this is referred to as a cumulative acknowledgement. When you send the acknowledgement of more than one packet, okay, that particular thing is referred to as a cumulative acknowledgement. And independent acknowledgement is simply that you receive a packet and you send the acknowledgement of that particular packet. Okay, so uh, now the main problem is uh, uh, how to select that how big should be the cumulative acknowledgement. Okay, so it is how main problem is how to decide how can you decide the size of the cumulative acknowledgement? Do I send one packet? Do I send two packet? Do I send three packet? Okay, so again the size should be optimal. It should not be as large, it should not be as small. Okay, so if it is as small, it is just like an independent acknowledgement or a single acknowledgement. So for this particular problem, we have find it something called the acknowledgement timer. Okay, so suppose this timer, suppose I've sent 2 packets and the acknowledgement timer start now here from here. Okay, so suppose it is like 2-3 milliseconds, not more than that. This is your acknowledgement timeout. Now till this timer, how many acknowledgement did it receive? It just after that, after the expiry of this timer, it will again send the acknowledgement back. Okay, so this is the solution, that how you should decide. Again, you will also be, there will also be a question that how much longer your time acknowledgement timer will be. Okay, keep in mind the acknowledgement timer will always be smaller than the timeout timer on the sender side. Okay, so if it is bigger than the timeout timer, then your packet will time out and the packet will be sent again. So keep in mind that the timeout timer from the sender side is always greater than your acknowledgement timer. Okay, So now two things, you can send acknowledgement at once or you can send acknowledgement one by one. It depends upon you. Okay, there is a single acknowledgement, there is a cumulative acknowledgement, and cumulative acknowledgement can be decided on the basis of a timeout timer. That particular timeout timer is called acknowledgement timeout timer. Okay, so keep in mind that acknowledgement, there is only one condition, that acknowledgement timer should not be greater than the timeout timer, because if the acknowledgement timer is greater than the timeout timer, it means this particular receiver will not send the acknowledgement until the expiry of this timer. Okay, so if the expiry of the timer is here, the sender, because of the timeout timer is less, it will again send the packet here. So okay, so that is a problem. So that condition is binding, that the acknowledgement timer should be always less than the timeout time. Okay, so now in this case, if I'm sending a packet, suppose you know that, oh, I can send 4 packets here, 0, 1. Okay, so if you want to send the acknowledgement one by one, you can send it, or you can send it directly. Okay, so I'm sending it directly now so that you also understand what is a cumulative acknowledgement now. Okay, so this is your cumulative acknowledgement, that is going back. The cumulative acknowledgement number will be 4 because you have sent 3 packets. It will be always +1. Okay, so now here is your timeout timer. So you already know the timeout timer, what it is. Okay, so now suppose this particular cumulative acknowledgement got lost. Okay, so because the receiver window side here is 0, so 0 is received by the receiver, 1 is received by the receiver, 2 is received by the receiver, and 3 is received by the receiver. Okay, so due to cumulative acknowledgement, I'm sending the packets at once. So it can be one by one, or it can be one. You can send it one by one also. So for one by one, I will be assuming that all the 4 acknowledgements got lost. For cumulating, I'm only assuming that only one acknowledgement got lost. Okay, so if the acknowledgement now got lost, now because a receiver window already knows that the available sequence number are 4. Okay, the maximum available sequence number 4 means that you can get only 0 to 3 sequence numbers. Okay, so after that, receiver knows I am expecting a 0th sequence number. Okay, so receiver is after 0, 1 to 3 is received to the receiver. Now receiver is expecting the next cycle, that is 0, 1 to 3 again. Okay, now when the acknowledgement got lost, what this because it is a go back n, so what this go back n will do, it will go back it will go back and transmit the whole packet. Okay, so it will transmit the whole window again, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. We already know this. Okay, so when it transmit the whole packet, what this receiver will think, now think from the receiver side. Receiver is thinking that it is a different data than the previous one, because the sequence number is similar. So receiver is thinking that it is the different data than the previous one, but the sender, because it does not receive the acknowledgement, it is sending the same data back. Okay, so this problem that we already faced earlier, that is your duplicate packet problem. Okay, so from the receiver side, receiver is thinking that it is a different packet, but sender knows that it is the same packet because I didn't achieved the acknowledgement. Okay, so now why is this happening? If you think, why is this particularly happening? Because receiver is expecting the 0th sequence number. That is the problem. Okay, so because we have set the sequence number in such a way that the sequence number will be equal to the window size. If the sequence number will be equal to the window size, if this scenario happens, the receiver will be expecting that the 0th sequence number. Okay, so what can you do? You just have to increase the sequence number bit by 1. Okay, so now actually why it is happening, because when the sender window size is 4 and the receiver window size is 1, okay, and your sequence numbers are 4, actually it is 4, it means 0 to 3. This particular situation is causing your duplicate packet problem. Now I'll show you how can you what is the solution for this. Okay, so solution is just increase the sequence number to 1 plus 1, only add 1 to it. Now What does that mean here? I now the available sequence number from my side will be 4 plus 1. Okay, so because it is 4 plus 1 means 5, so it is 0 to 4. Now see what will happen if the same scenario occurs here. Okay, so I already know that the sequence number again are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will repeat itself, but the window size we already decided it is GB4. Okay, so GB4, the window size is 4. Okay, so now what will happen here? Now understand this very important, it's very important point here. Okay, so when you send 0, 1, 2, 3, okay, so it will be accepted 0, 0 because it is expecting 0, it is expecting 1, it is expecting 2, it is expecting 3. Now here it is expecting 4. Okay, so it is expecting 4 now. After that it will again accept 0, it will again expect 1, it will again accept 2, it will again accept 3, and it will again accept 4. Okay, so now see, now suppose this again the acknowledgement got lost. Okay, so when it got lost, when the timeout timer occurs, it will retransmit the whole window. So the whole window contains 0, 1, 2, and 3 packets. Okay, so now actually the receiver is expecting 4th packet. If you're seeing here, the receiver is expecting the 4th packet, but actually it receives the 0th packet. Actually it receives the 0th packet. So the receiver got to know that, oh, my acknowledgement got lost. That is why sender is sending the same packet to me again. So that is why what it do, it silently discards the packet and it again sent the acknowledgement that I have received the packet. Now send me the next 4th packet. Okay, so that is your solution of this particular problem. Okay, so now from this solution there will be a formula that will be used throughout the sender window or any flow control mechanism, any algorithm you take, any flow control algorithm to take, this particular sequence number formula will be used throughout. Okay, so now if you understand from this particular perspective, your sender window size is 4, your receiver window size is 1. Okay, so now if you have 4, if you send 4 sequence number, you have to wait for a completely different sequence number. Okay, so keep in mind, if you have 4 sequence number, you have to wait at the receiver side a completely different sequence number that is outside the window, that is outside your window. Okay, so from this I concluded we need at least, you can include more sequence number, but I'll try to use at least 5 sequence number in this case. Okay, so how do I get to this conclusion that in this particular scenario, if you're seeing here that actually the window size is 4, now I have to, at the receiver side, I have to wait, I have to wait for one sequence number that does not lie inside the window. Okay, so if it does not lie inside the window, it means that there will be no repetition, no repetition there. Okay, so if there is a timeout timer also occurs, the same window will get repeated, and in that window there will be there will be this sequence number will not be there. So by this, this is the basis here. Now by this I can recognize that my acknowledgement got lost. That is why the sender is again sending me the same packet. Okay, so suppose if I conclude this, that if the sender window size is n and the receiver window size is always 1. Okay, so this is now your formula. The sequence number, or you may call it available sequence number, some books use available sequence number. Available sequence number will always be n plus 1. Okay, so that is why if you see in here I have taken sequence number plus 1. Actually sequence number plus 1 is window size. Okay, so previously I have taken the whatever is the size of the window, I'm taking that many sequence number. Okay, so by taking that many sequence number, there is a problem of a duplicate packet problem. Okay, so if I'm taking the sequence number that are equal to the window size, okay, so that problem can occur. To to provide the solution for this, I just didn't do anything. Whatever at the receiver side, whatever is the window of the receiver side, I added that window. Okay, so your available sequence number in this case will become the sender window size plus the receiver window size. You can also call it that your sender window size plus receiver window size will I can call it in this particular scenario, if I it should be equal to or less than, because the sequence number can be more than that, but it cannot be less than that. Okay, so I can call it sender window size is plus receiver window size. It should be always less than or equal to available sequence number. Okay, so that is your main formula. Okay, so it is applicable in any protocol, in any flow control protocol that you may have taken, in any flow control protocol. Okay, so if you want to take stop and wait as well, so you may have seen in stop and wait as well. So we already know in stop and wait what happens is that the sender window size here is 1 and the receiver window side here is also 1. Okay, so it is 1, it is also 1. Now what happens is that the available sequence number that is possible in stop and wait protocol, if you find out in the book, you will always find it will be 1 plus 1. It is less than equal to, what is the available sequence number here will be 1 plus 1, it should be less than equal to 2. It can be more than 2, it can be 3 is also correct, 4 is also correct, 5 is also correct, there is no problem in that, but the least possible solution for this one is 2. Okay, so why the maximum sequence number 2 means that you can sequence it 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Okay, so when you are sending a packet from the sender side, it will be sequenced as 0 to 1. Okay, so your window can become, because you can only send one, you can only send one in stop and wait. So this is your outside of the window approach. Okay, so now when you send 0th packet, when you send 0th packet here, this receiver window side is waiting for 0. Okay, so that is fine. Okay, so now if you only name the sequence number as 0 and 0, so if the acknowledgement got lost here, if the acknowledgement of got lost here, it will again now the receiver window side is waiting for this 1th packet, because the same scenario, the receiver window size is waiting for the 1th sequence number, but it will get 0th packet here. Okay, so 0 is already achieved, so what it do, it will cancel out this one and it will send that acknowledgement again. Okay, so same scenario occurs. Okay, so in any protocol, you take any protocol, be it GBM, be it flow control, this particular formula is always used there. So it will help you in deciding what are the available sequence number in a particular flow control window should be. Okay, so keep in mind. So if I conclude this, suppose the sender window size and the receiver window size, just wait a second. Okay, so if you take the sender window size as n and receiver window size as n, the sequence number or the available sequence number will always should be equal to, or it can be greater than n plus 1. Okay, so it should be, most probably it will be equal to, because it is equal, if it is equal to n plus 1, you can maximize your what do you say, maximize the profit, or you can say maximize the CPU utilization. So it can be greater than 1, but it can be greater than this, but it is, if it is equal to this, you will get more utilization. Okay, so again the sequence number bit field, the formula is same here again, that will be log to the base 2 n plus 1, that whatever it is, it will be sealed. Okay, I think we have already discussed it. Okay, so now again there can be variations of this. Suppose if you have given a sequence number, so you have given a sequence number as 4. Okay, so suppose if I journalize it, so this is the first scenario, And this is my second scenario. The sequence number that is given to you is 4. So suppose that the sequence number that is given to you is n. Now, what is your sender window size? And what is your receiver window size? The receiver window size you already know that in go back n, the receiver window size is 1. And when you have given a sequence number as 4. Okay, so keep the formula in handy. So whatever the formula is, sender window size plus the receiver window size should be less than or equal to available sequence number. Okay, so what is the sender window size here? Sender window size, I don't know. Receiver window size, as you always know, it's always 1. So it is always less than available sequence number given here is 4. Okay, so you can find what is the sender window size will be 4 minus 1, less than equal to 4 minus 1. Okay, so you can conclude that the sender window size should be 3 here, but I can conclude here that the sender window size should be what can be, it can be available sequence number, that is n minus 1. Okay, something like this. Okay, so receiver window size you already know. So by using this formula you can easily calculate the sender window size if you have given a sequence number. Okay, so receiver window size is constant in go back n, so there is no need. Okay, yes, and now this is actually your first scenario, this is your second scenario, and third scenario can also be that you are given a sequence number bit field. Okay, so suppose it is given to you as sequence number that are available here is k. Okay, so how many available sequence number you can you can calculate from here? If it is sequence number bit field is, suppose it is 2. Okay, so if it is 2, the total number of sequence number will be 2 raised to power 2, that is 4. Okay, so in this case the available sequence number here will be 2 raised to power k, whatever it is. Okay, so now you can find out the sender window size and receiver window size. Again go for the same formula, that is sender window plus receiver window should be always less than equal to available sequence number. So now what is the sender window here? So sender window, I think, I do not know. Available sequence number is 2k. Receiver window is 1. Okay, so you can find that the sender window size should be less than equal to 2k minus 1. Okay, so sender window size here will be 2 raised to power k minus 1. Okay, so this same formula you can conclude many things from here. Okay, so keep in mind there is something called a sequence number and sequence number bit field. Okay, so again, if you are doing operating system, you may, if you have done paging, there will also be something called there a logical unit and a physical unit. Okay, so whatever there the bit is given here, suppose it is 3, actually physical address size will be 2 raised to power 3. In the similar way, if you see here, it is also that for sequence number bit field. Okay, same as the paging in operating system if you have done it, but if you haven't, you will get to it. Okay, so in the sequence number bit field, whatever bits are given here, so it is 2 here, so actually the total sequence number that can be represented by it is 2 raised to power 2, that is 4. Okay, so what is the meaning of it? That from this 2 bits, how many sequence number that you can represent? Okay, so that is 4. So how it's 4 there? So take these 2 bits. How many sequence number you can represent? That is 4. It means 0 to 3. Now how actually you can represent it? These are 2 bits. So it is saying by using 2 bits, you can represent actually 4 sequence number, that is 0 to 3. Now how can? These are 2 bits, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. So you can represent 4 numbers, that is 0 to 3. Okay, so that is the meaning of it. Okay, so now I think if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay, so this particular formula, in order to find the sequence number, is very, very important, that the sender window size and available receiver window size. So that is why that is your relation between the sender window size and the available sequence. So this is I will say the foundation of your flow control mechanism, because most of the time your question will be based on the sequence numbers. Okay, so most of the time this concept is this concept many students overlook. Okay, so when you overlook this concept, your question, your answer will always be wrong, because most of the time people think that the available sequence number is equal to the window size. Okay, so that is why in gate question, if you take any previous gate questions also, if you take any CCNA questions also, they will also always try to include the available sequence number concept. Okay, so because in the concept, most probably you will not have heard about this particular part, that you always assume that the window size, whatever is the window size of a sliding window, you will assume that this will be the total sequence number. Okay, so that is very, very important, that how can you decide the sequence number. Sequence number will always be less than the size of the sender window size plus the receiver window size, should be always less than equal to the available sequence number. It can be more than that. Keep in mind, if I'm saying, suppose here in this case 4 plus 1, it should be 5, but it can be 6 as well, 7 as well, 8 as well. So 5 is the minimum, what do you say, minimum sequence number where you can generate maximum profit, or you say maximum utilization. But you can use 6, you can use 7, you can use 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, anything, but by using it you will definitely increase the bit field. Okay, so that is why I prefer this one. But if you use 6, 7, 8, 9, this is not wrong, that is okay, but that is not wrong. Okay, so always try to use the least sequence number so that you can generate the maximum performance. Okay, so now based on the same lines that we have heard about SR selective repeat protocol, so I'll say I'll show you that why what is the disadvantage of go back N. So there are many advantages of go back N. First of all, it is the practical implementation of sliding window protocol. But in go back N, what happens is there are a lot of retransmissions. Okay, so you may have heard when we have done the question that every sixth packet got lost, you have to retransmit again. So you have to retransmit the whole window. Okay, so due to this retransmission that we have to retransmit the whole window, if the size of the window is very, very large, so you again have to retransmit the whole window if only one packet is lost. Okay, so if you remember, so suppose the window is like 0 to 100. Okay, 0 to 100 means total 101 packets are there. Okay, so in this particular window, there is suppose 59 packet got lost. Okay, so you again have to go back and go back whatever is the size of the window is, I think it will be go back 101. So you have to go back 101 and you again to have to transmit the whole window. Okay, so there are a lot of retransmissions going on. So that is the only disadvantage of your go back N protocol. Okay, so how can you improve it? By selectively repeating the lost packet. Okay, so if you can selectively repeat only the lost packet, that is your 59th packet, rather than repeating the whole window, then you can increase the efficiency as well. So that is why selective repeat has a greater efficiency, but it will also have a greater computation time or greater processing time as well, because I'll show you why, but still you understand the concept now, that what is the whatever is the disadvantage of GBN, we're trying to resolve the disadvantage of it by introducing a new protocol that is called a selective repeat protocol. Okay, so now SR protocol is an implementation of a sliding window protocol that you already know, and the features are this one. So point one, keep that in mind, this is the first point. In SR protocol, sender window size is always same as the receiver window size. Now what is happening here, the sender, whatever is the sender window size, if it is 4, the receiver window size here will also be 4. Now how this particularly problem is avoided now. So take the same scenario that occurred in GBN. Okay, so this here the sender window size was 1, 2, 3, and you are sending these 4 packets. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you are sending these 4 packets. Now what are happening in go back N is that if your 0th packet is lost, because the receiver window size is only 1, it is expecting 0th packet. If it is lost and 1, 2, 3 packets arrived towards this one, you will also discard these packets. Why? Because you do not have a space to store these packets. But with the arrival of your with the arrival of your sender window, with the arrival of selective repeat, your sender window size is equal to the receiver window size now. So now if the sender window size is 0, 1, 2, 3, the receiver is also expecting 0, 1, 2, 3 packets. Okay. So suppose if your 0th packet is lost, but it can store 1, 2, 3 packets in this 1, 2, 3 packets there, and only 0th packet is lost. Okay. So when the acknowledgement goes back, when the acknowledgement of when the acknowledgement does not arrive at the timeout timer, it will only send the 0th packet. It will not repeat the whole window. It will only send the 0th packet. So that is the main advantage of SR protocol over a go backend protocol. Okay, so here the sender window size is equal to receiver window size. The size of it should be, the size window should be greater than 1. Otherwise, you know, it's a stop and wait protocol if it is the same size. Okay. So now how can you find out the sequence number bit field? The same formula. Okay, so same formula is sender window size plus receiver window size should be less than equal to available sequence number. So how can you find the available sequence number? So you know that the sender window size is equal to the receiver window size. In SR protocol, the sender window size is equal to the receiver window size. So I can call it window plus window. So two window should be less than whatever is the available sequence number. Okay. So I can say that it can happen that window equal to available sequence number over 2. So I can call it like that. Okay. So now till here I think everything is smooth, that you can find that the window, whatever is the window size, if you want to find the window size can be available sequence number. Whatever is the available sequence number, it is divided by 2. Okay. So now if I say that again I have to give some to provide the value here, some value here, I have to assign some bit field here. So suppose my available a sequence number bit field, suppose for the sake of deriving the formula, available sequence number bit field, suppose it's k. Okay. So now my available sequence number will become 2 raised to power k. Okay. So or 2 raised to power n if I take an n. So it will become 2 raised to power k here, available sequence number by 2. So it can become 2 raised to power k minus 1, because with the bases are same, you can subtract the power here. So it is 2 raised to power 1, bases are same, you can say 2 raised to power k minus 1. So your sender window or your receiver window will be equal to the if you want to find out what is the size of the sender window and the receiver window, it should be equal to the 2 raised to power k minus 1, where k in this particular case, your k is your sequence number bit field. Okay, so whatever is the bit field that is given in the header, it is 2, 3, 4, 5, then you can decide there. Okay, so that is the main point in this one. Okay, so now the next point, the point 2 is SR protocol only uses independent acknowledgement. So that is very important point. Okay, so cumulative acknowledgement in case of SR window is not employed, because if you see here, how can you employ a cumulative window? Okay, so cumulative acknowledgement. So if you have sent a 4 packet 0, 1, 2, 3, you can you will only send the acknowledgement back then till out the timeout timer receive. Okay, so if you send how can you send if you lost the packet, that is for, so I'll take example. So until we go, suppose this is 0th packet, this is 1th packet. Okay, I'll take a clear example. 0th packet, 1th, 2, 3. Okay, so this is your window. Now why it is following independent acknowledgement rather than cumulative acknowledgement? Because if this packet is lost, if this particular packet is lost, this 3 packets are received. Okay, so these 3 packets are received, but 0th packet is not received here. Okay, so now how can you indicate that you haven't received the 0th packet? If you send the cumulative acknowledgement, you will send 4 here. Okay, by the meaning of 4, it means all the packets are received. So, okay, if you're sending the acknowledgement as 4, it means that all the packets are received, but that is not the case because 0th packet is not received. Okay, so that is why, to avoid any confusion there, I only use independent acknowledgement. That is for 0th, if the acknowledgement does not arrive, I will send at the timeout timer this 0th packet again. Okay, so to avoid it, we always use independent acknowledgement in SR protocol. A receiver acknowledges each frame independently. As a receiver receives a new frame from the sender, it sends its acknowledgement. Okay, so it is as simple as that. Okay, so now there is one another point. The another point is SR protocol does not accept the corrupted frame. Okay, now if you there is one additional point here. Additional point is if you have seen in Go backend. In Go backend, what happens is that when your packet got lost, suppose your packet got lost, what happens is that some other packets are received. If the first packet is lost, whatever is in the window, it will start discarding them. Okay, so you already know about this. Okay, so now another thing is corruption. Okay, so now what is the meaning of corruption here? So sometimes your packet that you are sending also got corrupted due to some signal outage or over the voltage outage, or some noisy signal that is present there, or some very high disturbance that you received from other medium. Okay, so it can also happen. So in that case, if in GBN, what happens is that when you first of all, in GBN, out of order packets are discarded after time. Okay, so now if the packet is corrupted, okay, so suppose the GBN is sending some packet, it is the receiver receives it. Suppose the receiver received that packet, but I do not understand the content of the packet. So rather than 0 or 1, it is like X, Y, something like this. Okay, so I'm not understanding. So I'll deduce that it is this particular packet is corrupted. Okay, so because the receiver does not understand the packet, so the most important conclusion will be that the packet is corrupted here. So you can silently discard the packet here as well. Okay, so the GBN silently discard the packet when the corruption occurs. Okay, but in the SR protocol, there is an advantage to it. Okay, so suppose when you send any packet and that particular packet is corrupted. Okay, so here timer will be something like there. Okay, so now SR protocol do something very useful, that it will send, suppose this particular packet is corrupted. Okay, so because the receiver cannot understand the packet, it will most probably be corrupted one. So SR protocol, rather than discarded it, it will discard it, no problem, it will discard it, but it will send something called a negative acknowledgement, that is NAC. Okay, so it will send the negative acknowledgement. Now why it is sending the negative acknowledgement? So when this negative acknowledgement received by the sender, it will understand that my packet got corrupted. It will again send the same packets towards the receiver. Okay, so if the packet is 0, it will again sending the same packet towards the receiver. Now what is the advantage of that? Because your same packet will be sent after a timeout timer. Now this much amount of time is saved. Okay, so that is why it is the advantage of SR protocol, that it can send negative acknowledgement. No other protocol can send negative acknowledgement. Only SR protocol can send a negative acknowledgement. Okay, so if receivers reach a frame that is corrupted, then it does not silently discard that frame. Okay, so receiver handle the situation by efficiently by sending a negative acknowledgement towards the sender. Negative acknowledgement allow early retransmission of the same packet. Okay, so it is allowing early retransmission. So it also avoid waiting time or timeout timer to expire at the sender side. Okay, so that is the advantage of negative acknowledgement, that this particular protocol has that feature. Okay, SR protocol, only SR protocol has the feature of negative acknowledgement. Okay, so now the fourth point is SR protocol and can accept out of order packets. So I already given you an example. So here it is accepting 120, so it is 0123. This is a window it is going to be transmitted. So if the first packet got discarded, it is accepting 123. So it can accept out of order, means it should be expecting 0th packet, but if it does not receive, it can accept all the packets because it has a window, it has a buffer to store it. So that is the advantage of it. Okay, So consider, but in GBN cannot accept out of order packet, because if 0 is not arrived there, it will start rejecting all the packets. Okay, so you already know this case. Okay, so consider receiver receives a frame whose sequence number is not what the receiver expects, but then it does not discard that frame, rather than accept it and keep it in its window. Okay, so that is the advantage of SR protocol. Another one is SR protocol requires sorting at the receiver side. So in this particular SR protocol, that is why I'm saying the CPU utilization is more in case of SR protocol, because at the receiver side I have to do something called a sorting. Okay, so in GBM, if you say in GBN, the CPU utilization is very less, but in SR protocol I have to do some processing task. The CPU utilization is more. Okay, so that is why. Now receiver is implemented as a linked list. You can get it, and when a receiver receives a new frame, it places the new frame at the end of the linked list. When the received frame are out of order, receiver performs sorting. So you have to perform sorting on a linked list. You may have already studied that in data structure or in algorithms in your I think second semester. Okay, so that is the same algorithm. Whatever you have used to sort linked list, we used it here also. Okay, so all the concept that you have earlier studied, that is why it is called that your data structure is the heart of your computer science. Okay, data structure and algorithms. Okay, so if you have a good knowledge of data structures, you will be easily be able to attempt anything. Okay, so sorting sorts the frame in the correct order. Okay, so now your seniors, if you have talked to your senior, there is a Cisco Ideathon 2020 that was occurred previously in our college. Okay, so only 3 people were selected from the seniors batch, that is fourth year, and from their batch they have given internship. Okay, so they have offered an internship in Cisco. That internship is converted into a full-time job offer. Okay, so I also encourage you to I will try to include 1 or 2 Cisco courses in your in this curriculum as well, because the main eligibility of Cisco's Ideathon is that you have to have completed NetAcad 1 or 2 courses. Okay, so we have made a MAU with Cisco. So the courses of Cisco that is required for Ideathon is totally free. So I will be coordinating with Cisco's coordinator. After that, I'll tell you back with. Okay, so I'll send you a mail so that you can also do these particular kind of courses. So it will be very beneficial for you in upcoming placements. Okay, so try to complete those courses. Okay, so if you want to do this, if you are thinking that Cisco is completely network based company, it is not. Actually, all the things, there are also software engineering in Cisco. They also employ engineers that are good in applications, or that also tries other domains. Okay, so if you have a good backup knowledge, what have you studied, if you have a good knowledge of networks as well as a good knowledge of data structure algorithms, you can easily crack the interview of Cisco. Okay, so now coming back to the sixth point, that is Cisco protocol requires searching at the sender side. Okay, so this, because the searching means that again it is increasing the CPU usage. Okay, so that is why when you use when you use a SR protocol, the CPU utilization is very high. Okay, so that is why when you require low processing, you always use another CPUs. Okay, so for efficiency, another seventh point is, again you can read it there. So these are the advantages of SR protocol. Okay, so these are the, I would not call it advantage, it's a feature. Okay, so SR protocol leads to retransmission of the lost packet after the expiry of timeout timer. We already know the timeout timer is applicable in all the flow control mechanism when I'm using ARQ. Okay, so SR protocol is also lies in the domain of ARQ. So ARQ means it will have a timeout timer. Okay, so consider a frame being sent to the receiver is lost on the way, then it is retransmitted only after a timeout timer expire for that frame at the sender side. Okay, so this particular feature is not a different feature. This feature already exists in all the flow control mechanism. Okay, so the efficiency here will be find it out. So efficiency formula is same here. In stop and wait, it is 1 over 1 plus 2a. In I think in GBN it was n. So whatever is the window size, I can call window size over 1 plus 2a. And in case of your SR protocol, it will be again window size, whatever is the window size over 1 plus 2a. It is your total time. Okay, so efficiency of any flow control protocol is given by sender window size. Okay, sender window size, whatever is the sender window size over 1 plus 2a. Okay, so in selective window, if selective repeat protocol, of the sender window size is given as n, so I am giving as ws, but it is, if it is given as n, so it will be n over 1 plus 2a. Okay, so the efficiency formula is same. How can you calculate it? Okay, so to conclude it, now your flow control mechanism are all completed here. Now to conclude it, I'll just use the three protocols. Okay, so stop and wait, GBN, and your SR protocol. Okay, so in terms of efficiency, I think we have seen the efficiency of this one is 1 over 1 plus 2a. This one is your window size over 1 plus 2a. So here the efficiency is more. The efficiency here is very less. And here again the efficiency is lost because it is 1 of ws over 1 plus 2a. Okay, so the efficiency here is also more. So we already know the efficiency. Now if you want to find out, what do I call it, window sizes. Okay, so window sizes or buffers. Okay, so now if I want to find out total buffer or total window size. Okay, so here the window size will be at the sender window size plus the receiver window size. Okay, so it is 1, so it is totally the window size is 2 in stop and wait case. In GBN, the window size is n and the receiver window size is 1. So the total window size is n plus 1. In SR, the sender window size is equal to the receiver window size. If sender window size is 1, receiver window size is also 1. So it will be 2n. Okay, so this, if you're seeing here, SR protocol is taking a lot of storage space. So window size is nothing but a buffer. If you're seeing here, so the least amount of storage is taken by the stop and wait protocol, that is only 2, that is fixed and that is constant. And in GBN it is n plus 1, and as in SR it is 2n. Okay, so it is greater than GBN. Okay, so if you require if you're using SR protocol, you have to have more storage space as well. Okay, so if I find out sequence number, so sequence number I think you already know, it is 1 plus 1 here, the least sequence number, minimum sequence number, I'll call it minimum sequence number. Okay, so you can go with the same formula, ws plus wr should be equal to, I'm taking equal to because I'm calculating minimum here, that will be available sequence number. Okay, so it is 1 plus 1 in this case. In this case it will be again n plus 1, and in this case it will be again n plus 1, whatever is the sender window size and the receiver window size, I'm calling this. Okay, so if you're seeing here, the sequence number here is more. Okay, so here the sequence number is less, here the sequence number is only 2 sequence number. Okay, so that is only 0 to 1 range. Okay, so here the sequence number is more, but here it is most. So it means that your bit field, so sequence number bit field will also be more. Okay, so that is again the SR protocol is taking more storage. Okay, now your retransmissions. So okay, retransmission in case of stop and wait, if you do not need the acknowledgement, you only transmit the same packet again, so it is 1. Here in GBN you have to transmit the whole window. So if the window size is n, so whole window will be retransmitted. In stop and in SR you only transmit 1 packet. Okay, so if your packet is lost and the packet does not, so if you're seeing here, in case of retransmissions, SR protocol is way more efficient than GBN. Okay, and it is also, the efficiency is equal to a stop and wait, but the retransmission is equal to stop and wait, but the efficiency of SR is more as compared to stop and wait, if you see here. Okay, so now in terms of bandwidth, I think the stop and wait require the least amount of bandwidth, that is your thin Ethernet, and GBN, because it has a high window size, it will require a high bandwidth, it will also require a high bandwidth. Okay. So because the communication between a sender and the windows, receiver and sender window is a lot more, and retransmission required here is lot more. So that is why the bandwidth will be required in both of these cases is higher. Okay. So now your CPU. Okay. So you only know that the CPU here, there is no use of CPU. So it is only sending one packet. So the CPU utilization is very, very less. Here I can call it because there are many packets going on at one time, so I can call it the CPU here that is used here is moderate. Okay, but here the CPU is used to its highest. Okay, so highest utilization, because you have to go through sorting algorithm, you have to go to searching algorithm. So that is why the CPU usage in case of SR is very, very high. Okay, so you need a good CPU. Okay. So with this, I think your flow control mechanism got completed here. So if you remember, we are standing inside a data link layer. Inside a data link layer, there was framing. Framing, I have already tell you, that is your bit stuffing and byte stuffing. Okay. In that framing, there is another thing, that is your flow control. Okay. So flow control here, there are three mechanisms that we have already studied. That is your stop and wait, and selective repeat, and your GBN. Okay. So again, these flow control mechanism not only used in your DLL, it is also used in transport layer as well. Okay. So when I come to it, I will also tell you which particular algorithm is preferred in transport layer and which one is preferred in data link layer. So most of the time you will see that GBN is mostly preferred in data link layer, because the retransmissions, because if you see DLL, why it is GBN is mostly used in DLL, because DLL is mostly in a LAN. Okay, so LAN is, it is less than 10 kilometer. So it means we use a physical wire. Okay, so in wires there is a very, very, very rare chance that that your packet will get lost. If there is very rare chance that your packet will get lost. If your packet is not lost, then their retransmission is, there will be no retransmissions. Okay, so because of the advantage that there will be no retransmission, so only disadvantage of GBN is there are a lot of retransmission. But if you are using a following a wire, there will be very, very, very low retransmissions. Okay, so if there are no retransmissions, there are many advantages to it. That first one is it does not require a high CPU, and it has a less sequence number, and it requires a less processing time. So that is why most of the time in DLL we always try to use your GBN or stop and wait. You can use stop and wait as well, but most of the time we will always prefer this GBN. Okay, another one, I think it is your access control. So access control I'll start in the next lecture. Okay, after that I think your data link layer will get completed. I hope in this week. In next week I'll try to cover the whole access control mechanism. Okay, so before going on further, there are many things we have learned in this particular flow control. I'll try to include one or two numerical as well. Okay, so one or two numerical I will, if I do not, I think I try to cover it in a class, but what I do, I'll take 3 or 4 numericals of D8 and I'll provide you the solutions of it as well. Okay, so try to solve it. I will post the videos of numerical differently, that you have to see it for yourself, because I don't think we have enough time to complete the whole syllabus, but I also want to teach you something extra as well, so that it will be beneficial for you. Okay, so I'll try to include the numericals, but you have to, I will share the link of the videos that I will try to, if you watch it, it will be beneficial for you. But I don't think I can cover it in the lecture, in this particular lecture. I will provide you, I think, a half-an-hour video. There will be 2 and 3 numericals will be discussed, so you will get a better understanding how your flow control mechanism work. Okay, so if you have any doubt, just let me know, or you can move on to the next lecture.